Whether you're looking for a Chevy car, truck, or SUV, go see my friends at Apple Chevy in Tinley Park. With over 500 new and used vehicles in stock, they have what you're looking for, and at the lowest price possible. Go to applechevy.com. So did you see this story? I know one of the big stories over the weekend was this crazy gun battle that took place in Waco, Texas, between these rival biker gang members who just decided that was, it was described as a bar fight that spilled out onto the street that turned into, all the trouble in the world here with this massive deal. And today, a bunch of stories about what the biker culture is all about. People see Sons of Anarchy. I know that Judy was talking about that. She loves that show. Sons of Anarchy, watch that. There are 300 known biker gang organizations in America.
It seems so high.
300.
And you really don't see the presence here certainly close in Chicago.
We have our own gangs.
We do actually. We just had a case because the biker gangs, maybe McHenry County, they wanted their coats back. They confiscated their jackets and patches during another bar fight, and the court, they went all the way up the court and they said, no, you don't get them back. It's not like your Boy Scouts. I think that was the judge's statement.
Well, we got an expert on this whole culture. Is Charles Falco, who is privately contracted as an infiltrator for the ATF. You've seen him on a bunch of TV shows about this over the years. And Charles, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate it. And now, I guess these gangs, we sit in Chicago and we think about street gangs in Chicago and the kind of craziness that these guys perpetrate. But what you find in the biker gangs is that there's there's sort of an endemic culture within those gangs that replicates itself and is just as vicious, if not more, than urban street gangs, right?
Yeah, I think they're a lot worse. We call them mafia on wheels. They're much more sophisticated, and they have a military-style hierarchy. So, and they're older gentlemen. I mean, your street gangs are 16, 17, 18-year-old boys that grew up in the neighborhood where they're kind of forced into the gangster lifestyle. Mm-hmm. These are, 40, 50, 60-year-old men that volunteered who really wanted to be part of an organization that concentrates on war. They're very, very proficient at carrying out wars.
And Kevin, now what is the war that they're waging?
It's so funny. It's what differentiates U.S. biker gangs from biker gangs in the rest of the world. Is here they're fighting over territory for no real reason. It's not to gain criminal enterprise advantages or anything like that. It's just to be the biggest boy on the block. And it's all over those patches, and especially the bottom rocker, which is the bottom patch on the back of their vest that says what state they're claiming. And that's what caused this melee.
So that's crazy.
So weird. I mean, only one gang is in charge of the state, and that's what they battle it out for?
Yeah, so if you look at almost all of your outlaw motorcycle gang wars throughout the country, most of them started in the late 60s, 70s, and early 80s over those bottom rockers. The Banditos claims Texas as their own, and they've done a great job at keeping out other outlaw motorcycle gangs from wearing that bottom rocker. They've killed them, assaulted them, taken their colors. They've really kept Texas their own.
But isn't there's no drug trade or anything associated with these guys?
I mean, they definitely participate in criminal activity, but in Texas, the Hispanic gangs, the cartels, they run the drugs there. So it's not like they're taking over an area so they can just be the only ones selling drugs there. They don't run the drugs anyways, even when they do control the state. They do sell drugs, but they're more smaller level, street level drug dealers.
Yeah, as opposed to I guess they are in the urban gangs too, but it's just a wider network, and they're very specific and strategic about who's doing it and what corners they're on and how they enforce those corners and all that. But you know what? I mean, a lot of the stupid violence, Chicago police will tell you this, a lot of the goofy violence that goes on in Chicago street gangs is over the same sorts of things. I mean, guys throwing gang symbols at each other and shooting each other over the idea of affiliation. as opposed to any other sort of business that they're in. But this seems like it's not in the protection, it's not in the name of the protection of a criminal business enterprise. It's in whatever this identity is, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's just about claiming that territory as their own. And I really thought about it when I was doing these infiltrations, and I did the Outlaws. And the Outlaws are your
that's
big,
the biggest one, right?
Your big biker gang. Yeah, it's probably the second biggest one, second or third. Banditos are really big too throughout the world. Outlaws are probably the third biggest biker gang in the world, but they're really big there in Chicago. Chicago is their town. The Chicago Outlaws set off the third biggest bomb ever exploded in U.S. history in the Chicago area. The Hells Angels had moved into the area and had a support club in the Chicago area, and they tried to blow up the clubhouse, and they put a huge car bomb. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. Hells Angels still number one?
In the U.S., no. I think there's 3 or 4 biker gangs about the same size.
Wow.
So yeah, in the world membership, yes, but they're getting close to being beat by the Banditos.
So these 300 that they were just talking about in the story today, do they have affiliations within? Or is it like in Chicago, there's gang nations, where the gangs, well, they used to, not so much anymore, but they used to affiliate under one of 2 flags. Is it like that? Because you have 300 all killing each other. That's a lot of dead people.
Yeah, I mean, the Banditos do have a national leadership that pulls the strings. So in an event like this, which it was being predicted that something was going to happen. I mean, it had slowly been escalating in Texas between these 2 biker gangs, and so the police were very aware that something could happen at this event or might, and so that's why they notified the management to not have this event, or at least make it no colors. You make it no colors, the biker gangs won't show up.
I saw a piece with you maybe a year ago or something on cable. It was a History Channel or one of those. I can never keep those channels straight now. There's just too many of them. But in which you were talking about, it was a Gangland series, I think, that you were on, and you were talking about your experience, like some of the harrowing stuff as an infiltrator that you went through personally with these motorcycle gangs. What was the scariest moment for you? What was the moment where you thought, I'm not going to walk out of this?
There was one time where they brought us. I had a little recorder, and I kept it in my wallet, and I had moved it throughout this investigation. I'd put it in different spots in my body. I would go with kind of like a sick feeling on where I should put it, and it changed throughout the infiltration, which lasted, the first one lasted 2.5 years, and it was the Vagos. I didn't have a wire, so I had no backup. I didn't have anyone waiting out in a car, a team waiting out to come and rescue me. But we went to this meeting that was way out, with this gang. There's about 20 members, and we went way out in the desert at a house out in the middle of the desert in California, and they decided to strip search everybody.
Oh, my God.
And I really thought this was it. I thought, I'm going to die, I'm going to find it. But what they did is they had us empty out our pockets and put them on the coffee table, and they never checked in my wallet. So they stripped us down, checked all our body, but they checked the inside of my wallet.
And what were they checking for? I mean,
they're for recorders or wires.
Wow.
And how would they have killed you in a situation like that? I mean, they're not very kind about that, right?
And they had killed an informant before me, and or someone they thought was an informant. Usually when they think they're an informant and they kill them, they're usually not. They were mistaken. But they would have beat me to death, and then probably taken me out in the desert, because we were out in the desert already, and then just buried me out there and shot me in the head just to make sure.
Oh, wow. That you're not going to crawl back out, which has happened to them before, by the way. Guys who were not quite dead when they were buried, and then turned evidence on them. So, all right, Charles Falco. By the way, the book. I know we're not out to promote this book today, but I want to do it anyway because I've seen this book. Vagos, Mongols, and Outlaws is my infiltration into America's deadliest biker gangs. And there's a History Channel series based on the book, Gangland Undercover, which is really fascinating. The Gangland series is fascinating. They do one about Chicago, too. That's Chicago street gangs. It's great as well. So, Charles, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you being on with us.
Thank you.
All right, Charles Falco.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it is. You don't want to think about what goes on with the. We talk about our gangs here, and it's an intractable problem. But this sort of idea of affiliation, and when you think about the number of dead people in a single incident in Waco, Texas, over the weekend, it was just guys who were like, "All right, that's it. We're just going to kill everybody in the room."
Yeah, I mean, just open fire. And there were. Did you see the stories of the people, like the families who just happened to be there, or trying to protect their children, went in the freezer?
Yep.
Oh my God.